Good morning. It's morning time here anyway for a trial of freezer section American style breakfast food items. Now, I may have, I don't know if I want to say cheated a little bit, but like I did make some scrambled eggs in the microwave. It's still microwave food. There's a way you can make scrambled eggs in the microwave that a friend of mine taught me years ago. Um, And yeah, a lot of these are things that people would eat for breakfast in America, used to be able to eat. Now, more often than not, it's like a Pop Tart or like a bagel with cream cheese, and that's like it. And they're out on their way. A lot of this stuff is a little more traditional with some of the more modern microwave convenient food versions of them. But and some of this isn't real food in a lot of ways. This is a microwave egg sausage and cheese muffin sandwich. So this is a knockoff of like the McDonald's egg McMuffin. Um, I have to admit, the idea of microwaving a muffin to put this on, and if you're not from the U.S., this would be, I guess, a biscuit. No, biscuits are cookies. A scone? Yeah, it's bread. It's not a sweet muffin. It's not like a yeah. Well, let's see what it like the microwave egg patty, the microwave sausage patty, and the microwave muffin. Um, it doesn't make me too helpful. Mm, yeah, that's really the wrong texture for a muffin. Very rubbery. Is there no yolk on this egg? I would wager you that that's not actually cheese. There's a very high chance that is a cheese product. The sausage isn't super bad. It's still not high quality meat, but it's flavored right. Mm, I might want to revise that. It's flavored the way I remember breakfast sausage tasting when I was little. Considering that my mother was a single parent, a widowed single parent who was a school teacher, I'm wagering that budgeting was a concern. So we may have actually had very cheap sausage when I was younger. Overall, not as bad as well. I mean, the chewiness of the gumminess of the bread is a bit much. But other than that, this isn't bad. I can see like somebody enjoying having one of these every now and then. But for the investment of your time, you could probably do better homemaking some of this stuff. Oh, and you can't go this far without having some of the hickory smoked bacon. Wow, that's smoky. And that's just like a microwave bacon. I know some of you bacon nerds are rolling in your cardiac arrest coffins, but yeah, other than the breading on that, that wasn't super bad. Now, as for the breading, this is the same sort of muffin. I don't know if you can see it. It's supposed to be like that to capture all that melty butter that you put on there. And you're supposed to toast it crispy so it cracks when you pull it apart. And as much as this is an American breakfast, supposedly, I did use Kerrygold butter because with things like butter, you don't skimp. Hey, Kerrygold, call me. Mm. That's the way that's supposed to taste. That texture, that crunch on the exterior with the softness, but not like gummy soft. All right, another microwave staple, Quaker instant oatmeal. This is apple cinnamon because that was my go-to favorite when I was younger. I have to admit, oatmeal doesn't really agree with me these days, so I think it's safe to, ooh, nice and it's piping hot warm. This should be good. Yeah, say pretty good chances is mostly sugar. Yeah, whole grain oats, sugar, dried apple, natural flavor, cinnamon and salt. Mm. There's never much for the texture of pasty gluiness that oatmeal becomes, but this isn't super bad. Now, oatmeal was one that I never felt like made me feel full, but I do know it's different for different people. I had a friend at one point who said, like, he could have one of these types of instant pack oatmeals and it would stick to his ribs long enough that he wouldn't be hungry for most of the rest of the day. Like within 45 minutes of my eating something like this, I feel like my stomach would have been empty. And that might be down to different metabolic mechanisms, or it might be down to like gut biome. I'd have to do some testing to figure some of that out, at least for me. See what happens to blood sugar levels with consumption of stuff like that. All right, and so next on the list are some of the things we consider sort of classics. They're like the freezer version of classics. These are French toast sticks. My family always made their own French toast, so this is more like a strip of a cinnamon bun. It's a very soft, sort of moist. Trying to bite one so that you can see what the interior looks like, but that's the exterior. It's just sort of like a French toast is mostly just a bread soaked in a batter of uh, beaten egg with vanilla, nutmeg, sometimes cinnamon, and then fried in butter in a pan. I don't know. Can you see that? That's about as close as I've gotten so far. So right off the bat with these are much more seasoned, which reminds me a little bit of the cinnamon toast that we used to eat when we were little. But the oh, there you go. The pieces are much thicker than we usually did them. But they're also much more fluffy in the middle, almost cakey. They're like a cake. And then there's a little bit of the protein soft moistness that's soaked in around the edges. Not altogether bad, but not the way I'm used to having French toast. Now, as a standalone, as by itself, if you want to tell me that that was French toast, I'd say that's a really nice sweet breakfast roll. Because I mean, the thing about French toast is ours was always very dense, and we'd put powdered sugar on it, and maple syrup. And or we usually didn't do both at the exact same time, but you could. Okay, last piece of bacon. Hmm, no longer warm bacon. I should eat those eggs while they're still moderately warm. So these are scrambled eggs I did in the microwave. If you do it right, it takes only a couple of minutes, and you get fluffy, light, warm eggs. And my friend used to do it in a mug, like a soup mug. I prefer a small dish, a small bowl. If you put a little cheese in or some of the other ingredients you put in there. I've never been milk in my eggs kind of person. But I could put some cheese in there, maybe a little feta, some chopped peppers, maybe some olives. Sprinkle with some spinach when you're done. I mean, it's not the same as doing it in a pan. But for the texture you get on these eggs, sometimes this is a better texture for a. I mean, I wouldn't make an omelet this way, which I guess is what I was aiming for with the feta and other things, but I wouldn't try to get the versatility of an omelet out of a microwave egg. But for just some scrambled eggs, and the other thing is if you time it right and you do things just right, there'll be a cohesive piece that you can put on a muffin like this, or a scone, or however you want to describe it. Okay, so next on the big plate here, you can see my waffle. But to me, when I was looking at this, when you say waffle, my head says blueberry. So, like, I saw some amazingly weird. Here, I should just eat this. I saw some amazingly weird waffles at the store. And the thing that occurred to me is like this isn't a waffle. This isn't like a breakfast waffle. This is some bizarre dessert thing passing it off as a breakfast, just like the Pop Tarts. They're not a breakfast food. They're a cookie. They're a morning. They're not even a morning food as far as I'm concerned. Yes, I should probably eat my waffle with a fork and a knife, especially once I put maple syrup all over it. And this was a toaster waffle. I know I could microwave them, but that's wrong. You don't do that. No. I will say the French toast sticks were also microwaved because the packaging said I could do it. Now, how that would be different if I put it in the oven. I mean, the French toast sticks, usually we didn't cut them into strips like that. So, but if I put them in the oven, toast them up, or drop them in a pan and fry them up, it's a little harder because the French toast sticks, the waffles, and the soon-to-be-eaten pancakes, they're all pre-frozen, a frozen food section. So they're pre-cooked, frozen, and what you're really left to do is get the finishing cooking done, like the crispy exterior on the waffle, and maybe get some of the moisture out of the middle, dry it out a little bit, because you don't want like the gummy, like not like the gummy egg muffin thing. I'm kind of curious about the waffle seems. I remember waffles when I was younger feeling like they had more flavor than that. Like the batter had a vanilla-y richness to it with a lot more blueberry flavor. Okay, so last of the waffles. And I will dip some of the French toast in the maple syrup because I haven't had maple syrup on French toast in 20 some odd years. So maybe it's time to revisit that. I think that's one of the other things about this waffle is it's very bready. Like I toasted it till the outside was crisp, but as you can see, it stretches. It doesn't crack on the surface. It doesn't. It doesn't do all those also important crispy waffle things that it should. I was going to say it's almost more reminiscent of what I think of as French toast we used to make, except for the cells of the waffle and the exterior is a little more crisp, but it's not even right because the waffle has more of a that smooshy yeast bread aspect to it, which is nothing we'd ever used for our home French toast. Okay, French toast and maple syrup. That is weird. What was there? Oh, maple syrup shouldn't bead off the surface of the plate like that. I had the French toast there before, which makes me suspect heavily that there is a lot of butter in these. Or butter product, as the case may be. Somehow, I seriously doubt they sprang for true butter when they could probably get away with some canola oil or some garbage. The stuff left at the bottom of the bin after movie theater popcorn. It's not butter. Spoilers, in case you didn't know. All right, that leaves pancakes. And there is a little bit of a addition where it's pretty common to do a toast or muffin with butter and jam. But my jam um, was less jam, and my mom made a batch this holiday season of peach butter. I love peach, and our family is notorious for doing an apple butter. So I was excited about the prospect of a peach butter. And I haven't had an excuse to crack it open yet because I don't eat a lot of jams or jellies. And peach butter is very similar. By the way, 100% pure maple syrup. None of this corn syrup with maple flavoring added. Don't you do that. Look, I realize I'm close to Canada and Vermont, so I get the luxury of being a snob about it. But if you're going to throw conniption fits at me for some of the things that I eat that aren't authentic, don't use that fake maple garbage. It's worth springing for the real stuff. I actually have a friend. Yeah. I'm not this much of a recluse and a pedantic dork. But I had a friend who lived in Texas and moved to this area for a little while. And after a few years in this area, their family moved over to Germany. Where I think her husband's from originally. And she got over there, and two things that frustrated her very quickly. Well, three things. Germans do not understand what salsa is. You may think you do, but the salsa that she could get over there was weak. It was tomato soup with some other vegetables in it, as far as like. And then her breakfast of choice was grape nuts. And there's something similar to grape nuts over there, I think. But yours is already pretty heavily sugar laden. That's not sugar and Aladdin combined. That's has a lot of sugar in it. And it threw her off. She wasn't a huge fan of it right away. And the other thing she said to me around the same time was, they're confused by the concept of maple syrup. Like, what fruit does the syrup come from? And it doesn't come from a syrup, a fruit. But, and I guess there's something about like the species of maple trees most common in Germany that they're not sugar maples, and there's some aspect of the sap that kind of ruins any attempt to make a syrup. I don't know if that's true or not. I didn't think that maple syrup was a specifically American thing. And by American, I mean North American, not United States of America. Because Canadians are maple leaf people. They understand the wonders and the beauty of the maple tree. But yeah, I didn't think it was specifically a New World thing. But I mean, like when I think about like sweeteners, beet sugar and cane sugar weren't common in Europe, so most often they used honey. But I would think like it couldn't have been the only sweetener. I mean, you didn't use corn syrup, you didn't use cane sugar, you didn't use beet sugar for the most part. Maybe you did. I mean, you had beets. You're the ones who brought that over here, I think. But like, are the maple trees over in Europe distinctly different from the ones over here? Or is it something in the soil that adds something that, when cooked down and reduced, like maple sap is drained from the tree and cooked down to thicken it and make a thick syrup? So, is there something in the soils over in Europe that make it so it's not as commonly used that way? I just thought that was weird. Anyway, so my friend moved over to Germany, and those were three of the things that bothered her a little bit. So I sent her off a care package of a big jug of maple syrup. And being a a resident of the United States and specifically the Northeast for a little while, I would imagine she was accustomed enough to things like maple syrup that that bottle probably didn't last too long. I know she said she was trying to ration it, so hopefully she got plenty of use out of it. I also sent her a jar of, or I think I sent her a couple boxes of American grape nuts. And don't ask me why they call them that. I have no clue. I don't understand it. And a jar of ghost pepper salsa. I mean, it's not real homemade salsa, which she did end up making some of her own homemade salsa there. But it had some spice to it, which any good Texan wants in some of their seasoned spiced salsa foods. Nothing worse than a weak pico de gallo or a salsa. These pancakes, for microwave pancakes, that's not bad. There's almost something a little egg white to it in the texture. It's not bad. All right, see if I can crack open Mom's peach jam. Or peach butter. I shouldn't call it jam because it's not a jam. Come on. You know it's done right when you can't get the seal off. Come on, I want my jam. I may not get that off. I got that off. All right. I also got it all over my hand. And my shirt. Ooh, get a little zing to it. I lost the lid. Well, I suppose I shall just have to eat it all. Okay, we really can't do that, dude. Don't break everything in the house. No. Oh, peach butter, peach butter, peach butter. I can't tell you how excited I am to taste it. Peach butter on a muffin. So it's sort of like it's not quite a jam in the sense that it's not really a jellied. It's like a condensed applesauce, almost. It's got some spice, herbs, and not herbs. I don't see. Can you see the little flecks in there? Probably not. Honestly, what this is more like is a very smooth consistency pie filling almost. So we are quickly approaching the end of breakfast, and I was looking forward to this a lot. It's been a long time since I had some of these foods, and it'll probably be a long time before I can do this again. So it is very much like visiting old friends. Although, the fact that most of this is instant or microwave versions of this stuff, they're pale shadows of my old friends, but a good reminder of who they were. Mm. And not something I would use regularly or a lot of, but good flavor. I just don't often seek that level of sweetness at a breakfast or like maybe as something on a Danish or in a Danish that I made that would be kind of neat. Maybe a little after dinner mini pies or something like that. But yeah, that's a lot of carbohydrates for a breakfast. Oh, this one's a little shorter than they sometimes run, but that was one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, about eight different things for a breakfast. So that's way bigger than most Americans eat for breakfast. But the variety of things are things that are commonly or were commonly eaten for breakfast when I was younger. I don't think people eat food like this anymore. Maybe I'm wrong, but we've become such a country of cereal and milk for breakfast, or a Pop Tart or a bagel on the way out the door. I mean, I think the things that I could probably have added to this was orange juice, maybe a cut grapefruit, and a cup of coffee. That's how a lot of people did breakfast. I don't know what they do anymore. Like a bowl of cereal seems to be the chosen way to go these days. I think that's very unfortunate. All right. Now, I might make some homemade versions of one or two of these in the next, well, I'll say year, because the chances are that, I can't do this regularly, but I'd give this a try a couple times. So I might do like a homemade egg sandwich arrangement or homemade pancakes, homemade French toast, maybe homemade waffles. Oatmeal? No, I don't like it enough to make it at home. It's a weird choice to do to your food. Like, whose idea was it to boil the kernels of an oat grass? And it's just such a weird. Like, I don't do cream of wheat either. Especially don't do cream of wheat. That is worse than just mushy oatmeal. That's gruel. I don't think I've ever had grits, which I guess is similar to. cream of wheat, just a different grain. I don't do porridges. I don't understand the appeal of that. I might try like a muesli where it's a series of dried grains, fruit, and nuts. You put milk on and eat that way. I might give something like that a try at some point, but it's not something that I seek, and I don't think it ever struck me as overtly satisfying as far as foods go. I am actually rambling at the end of this video here, so I will cut it here. Thanks for joining me. I think we've got one more of these. I don't know if it's one more recorded and one more live, or if this is the next one will be the live one, the last day of this series. I'll have to look at it. I guess we'll find out next. See you tomorrow. For me, it's going to be a little while, but for you, tomorrow night. Have a good one.